What it do, Ski?
What is up, y'all? We are back again, and we're coming in with a topic that we received in one of our comments of our videos, where somebody asked, what do you do if you're shunned from your family?
And that's a tough one because we all experience that or will experience it depending on your journey. Yeah. And I think we kind of touched on that a long time ago in some older videos, but of course we got new people watching things or so much stuff to get lost in the sauce, so why not kind of address it along with these new rules to kind of twist and turn how things were in the past.
So we're going to touch on it again today. And I think one of our first points when it comes to being shunned from your family is like, that sucks. You know what I mean? There's nobody who you can ask who you'll be like, yeah, it's no big deal to be shunned from the family. No, it sucks. And so we can address that first. And now, especially with the rules that have changed, where all of a sudden they have this new talking to disfellowship people kind of being okay.
Yeah, and you compare, like beforehand, it was the rule of disfellowship and disassociating, right? So if you were to disassociate, you were to be treated kind of like a disfellowship person, which is shunned, not talking to. And now they kind of changed it where you can kind of greet disfellowship people and things.
You can greet them.
Yep. And now they kind of twisted it, but disassociating was always kind of funny because you could be treated disfellowship, but then you have the extreme Jehovah's Witnesses, like, no, they turned their back on Jehovah, on the organization. They don't even believe or want to come back. So that's kind of like, sometimes we'll put somebody in the state of an apostate, depending on basically the type of witness you're dealing with.
That, and it probably depends on what you disassociated for, because we all know, if you've been in the organization before, you know, like, news just spreads like wildfire, and they are like some of the biggest gossipers ever. So if it comes out that like you disassociated because you don't believe that you know, they are the religion or they're the truth or whatever, then maybe it's going to be treated a little different versus if you disassociate for another reason.
And a lot of times I remember JT saying the elders, when you write in a letter to disassociate, they wouldn't even read the rest of it to find out why. It's just the confirmation. Do you believe this is Jehovah's organization? And you say no, done. Nothing else to read. This person's turning their back on the organization. So that's one way of shunning that a person may deal with. Another thing is, this is a very important topic, and we got to make sure we word it carefully, but I think people understand what we're saying with this. Do not be the stereotype apostate. You want to explain what we mean by that?
Okay, so whenever you first find out that this religion is not the truth, it is so like, you had to go through this whole journey and this whole process of learning all this new information, and you're like, they've been lying to us. Like, you feel that first it's like you don't believe that what you're reading is the truth, you know, and then it's like anger, and then it's disbelief, all of these feelings that you're feeling. And then you want to go and tell people and show them, like, look at what these people have been lying about. And that is the stereotype apostate, because they already have in their mind that apostates are crazy people.
Right.
So if you go and you start showing all this information, like, look, they're liars and blah blah blah, now you look like the stereotype apostate, looking all crazy.
So there's a strategy behind the stereotype apostate, because we got to remember to put ourselves in the mindset of that type of Jehovah's Witness, which we'll touch on later in the video. But understand, like you said, babe, you didn't just wake up an apostate. Usually, a lot of the times, people kind of slow down a little bit. You're not as zealous, as they call it, in the ministry or what you're studying. Or most importantly, you realize something ain't right, which a lot of witnesses do, but you are taught to just push it to the back of your mind, wait on Jehovah. They'll explain it later. But usually certain things are like, something ain't right with this. That's not a normal thing as a Jehovah's Witness. So for you to even feel like that without getting back in line and going, I'm the problem, you start to look into things or start to question things, and that leads you into slowly looking at information you were always told to never look at.
Yeah.
If somebody even brings up something like this, you instantly shut the conversation down and stay away from this person. So
Yep.
for some reason, you are not following the protocol step by step, which you don't notice this in the moment because you're going through a spiritual awakening. So slowly but surely you realize I've been lied to, and then you get the confirmation of, wait a minute, I'm being lied to. So normally, like you said, we will try to go to our loved ones like, hey, look at this, but now you look crazy.
Yeah.
You have to give other people the time to
process.
Yeah, to process, or for one, even realize something is wrong. Because most Jehovah's Witnesses, we got a list of replies to say, oh, the organization's imperfect.
Yep.
Oh, no, we're just waiting on Jehovah. They're not trying to hear that.
Yeah. And really, we've heard counts of both types of people, right? We've heard people who have woken up and like hit their loved ones, just went for the jugular and gave them all the information, and then it ended up turning in their favor, right? But I feel like usually that doesn't happen. And we've also heard of the other cases where it's like spoon feeding kind of information. So maybe you kind of have to assess who it is that you're talking to, but even then sometimes it could go left, because you could think like this person is already teetering the line of like Jehovah's Witness versus worldly, but then you hit them with that information, they're like, no.
Yep, they're not ready for it.
They're not ready for it.
Yeah, so that's all we can't tell you how the scenario is going to work out, but take your time with that, with that type of information. And like you said, spoon feed, pose questions, and I always say, play the fool to fool the fool. So instead of saying, man, look at this, just go,
Have you seen this?
I didn't know that we were in court for things with child abuse, but don't show them an article, show them the governing body, because that way it doesn't look like apostasy or something else. It's the actual people who you see on screen all the time giving you information and going, I've never seen this. That's a way to present information, or pull things from jw.org that contradict itself instead of something from a different website, because just think of everything that would cause a red flag for you as a Jehovah's Witness, and put yourself in their shoes and think, okay, how can I present this to where I don't sound crazy? And we had people ask us like, would y'all ever go into a Kingdom Hall and do? No, because think about when we were in the Kingdom Hall and an apostate or a non-believer came in screaming, we're not listening to that message.
Yeah, exactly. And we are the type of people who so heavily believe in other people's journeys being very personal. Like if you are going to end up waking up from this religion, then you're going to end up waking up from this religion,
True.
And if you don't, then you won't, it just is what it is. And with all that being said, I think it's a good thing to remind ourselves, if you're being shunned by your family or by your friends, to remember it's not personal.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Expand on that.
We were all once brainwashed in thinking that we were doing what was best for the people, that have strayed away from Jehovah. Okay, if we don't talk to them, if we don't associate with them, then they're going to have to take the time to make the relationship stronger with Jehovah, right? Like that was the thought process. So they're just doing what they think is the best thing. And I think that sometimes you can allow for grace. It sounds crazy to say that, because it's like they're the ones not talking to you, and like how could they do that? But if you put yourself back in the position that you maybe once were in, then you can understand, and give grace to yourself in those moments too, because likely you probably shunned somebody too.
I like that you brought that out. That's something to always reflect on. How did I look at apostates?
Yeah.
Sometimes you never came across an apostate, and there may be times where somebody around you became one, and you shunned them. So it is not your fault.
Yeah.
And as irritating it is to see behind the curtains, to realize like, man, look what these people doing. They lying.
Yep.
It's up to that person to realize something is even wrong, and you can't force them to move on your pace.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not personal.
And you could always offer an apology if you feel so moved to do that, to somebody who you have shunned in the past, or whatever the case may be. And most of the time when somebody has left a religion like this, usually people are quite open-minded afterward. You know what I mean? They are like, you meet really dope people like once they leave this religion. It's like, dang, okay, you're pretty open. most of the times they didn't even take it personal. It was just like, whatever.
Yeah, because you understand what it's like to be brainwashed by a cult. That is not some normal stuff. Like, this is it's some psychology behind this stuff to make somebody put their loved ones and their hobbies and their dreams aside to follow something blindly. Like, that's not a normal person's way of controlling people. Like, that is something deep behind that.
Yeah, and it's crazy because things kind of come full circle. Like, where they are in the feeling of feeling bad for you because you've strayed away from Jehovah, right?
Mm-hmm.
They find that so sad and they're scared for you and they feel, right? But honestly, on the other side, it kind of feels the same. Like, dang, I feel bad that you can't think for yourself. Like,
dang,
for real. I feel bad that you have blocked yourself off from this information and from doing this, that, and the third in your life, because of this.
Just like the school thing, like, people all this time had things they were good at, had scholarships, so many things and opportunities they passed up on because they listened to somebody else.
Yeah, and people are pissed about it, and for good reason, because who knows, one day they may lift up the shunning doctrine completely, right? And then people are allowed to be mad about it because it's like you went 10, 20, 30 years maybe without talking to me, and now because your leaders say that it's okay to talk to me, now all of a sudden you want to be all...
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want to talk. Like,
which is understandable.
Like, you missed out on kids and grandkids and all type of stuff, all because you let somebody else tell you what to do just to tell you something else today. Like, no. So our next point we will say is find a community.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
That to me is such a good one. Like, especially if you're able to get into some of the hobbies that you were never able to fully indulge in. Like, say you're an artist or you love to read books or whatever the case may be, join a book club, join some kind of community around you to where, you can meet new people. Like, you can't expect to build a community again by just sitting in your house. Like, no, put yourself out there a little bit. Yeah,
you got to. And along with what you were saying, something important to go along with finding your community, you were boxed in as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, true.
You couldn't talk to these people, those people, they bad. You have to only be in this box of who we approve of. Now you have unlimited opportunity of who you would like to vibe with. As a Jehovah's Witness, you were forced to befriend people who you didn't even have things in common with, all because you were told you have to widen out and you have to love everybody. And you would find a lot of times you are hanging with people simply because of the faith. But these are not people that you share things in common with. Now find your own community. People that were considered bad association before, they like certain types of movies or music. You are allowed to hang with those people. Whatever your lifestyle is, there is a group for everybody.
Yes, and try new things. Like, if you were a Jehovah's Witness and you've never taken an art class or done, like a clay class or a yoga class or a meditation class, like all of these things, like you're able to go and try to do now. You know, so I think opening yourself up in that way really will help.
Yeah, definitely. I like how you mentioned before we started the video, how in the organization they always told you, do not rely on your own understanding. It's the opposite. You have intuition and everything innately in you from birth to know what's right and what's wrong. Find your own group. Don't let an organization convince you can't hang with these types of people. Find your community and you go off of who you feeling and who you're not feeling.
Yes. Now you can say yes to going to lunch with that coworker or that group of coworkers, or going kayaking with these coworkers, and then you get to use your own discernment. Like, not just you can't hang with these people because they're worldly. No, I don't want to hang with them because they're not really my vibe, or I do want to hang with them because I like hanging out with them. You're allowed to do those kinds of things now.
Same with the dating world. You were forced so many unhappy marriages in the organization because, well, this is the only pioneer in the congregation that's single. You're the only ministerial servant. Y'all need to be together. No. Now if you out and about going walking and there's somebody you see and y'all kind of vibe, y'all can go out and go get some coffee or go on a lunch date. You allowed to. It's free. You get to pick and choose who you want to have in your circle. And I think when it comes to shunning, it's such a hard thing to navigate, especially if you don't have anybody else in your support system who are
not Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
But say, for instance, you have like family or something that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses that you've been kind of boxed away from and have only been hanging out with like your Jehovah's Witness family. Maybe reach out to them and start to rebuild that relationship with them. And that helps to keep you kind of close to your family, you know what I mean, to where you feel like, okay, like I've got some blood relatives around, and you get to navigate a whole new relationship now.
And so many of them don't take it personal. Some do, just depends on family, but someone will be like, man, I've been waiting on you to wake up from that stuff. I told you that them folks was crazy. You come across a lot of that.
Yep.
Definitely. So hopefully we touched on mostly everything, but if we left some things out and you got more questions, hit us in the comments. You can also hit us on our Instagram at Awaken Truths IG, our TikTok at Awaken Truths LLC.
We have our healing journals. We have the normal edition as well as the PMO edition. And shout out, we had somebody reach out to us saying that they've been taking their journal that we made to their therapy sessions with them every week, which
salute
is
to y'all.
Super dope. And she said it's really been making a difference. So I love
check
that.
it out.
Yes, and catch us in our next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Peace.